doop doop doo doop doop doo 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 doo. Do 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 baden yeeten baden da bow ya bow 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 the yap baden yipa da ba 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 dum ba ba da ya da 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 do do dow bottom bum 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 bottom bum bum bum. Good afternoon. This is that one guy. I'm going to go ahead and show off a new rocket. I call it the two-stager Mooner. It's based on my two-stager design. And this is just, I guess, a rocket for rocket's sake. It's got exactly two real fuel stages, and it's pretty basic. Now, this one's capable of going to the Mun, and by extension, Minmus probably. I haven't really tried that. But all it really is just it puts me in mind actually of the Mercury project after they graduated from the Redstone rockets. The fun thing about this rocket is though it can kick out a lot of G-forces once you get past the atmosphere, just because the mainsail engine is so massive in comparison to the payload which it is trying to lift. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my gravity roll. And here we go. Alright, we are on our way to the Mun. Now, for those of you who don't know, what we're going to do is we're going to get into a parking orbit and then do a burn over to the Mun. And the wonderful thing is, we can do this all just with the upper stage because it doesn't take that much fuel to get to and from the Mun. Most of the fuel is used landing and taking off from the planetary bodies when you are going for a landing or you are going for a takeoff. And what I'm trying to do right now is I'm just keeping an eye on everything, making sure that my G-forces don't spike over 2. One, so I'm not wasting fuel, but 2, just because I don't want to flatten this guy. There we go. Alright. 3. Apparently I just said a random number. Okay. So what we're going to do is when we hit 70,000, I'm going to slow the throttle down a lot. I'm going to start rolling the ship down to heading 090. And what we're going to do is bring it back up to about 2 Gs until my apoapsis is roughly 100,000 meters. Now, in doing this, I am able to reach the apoapsis with a sizable amount of speed already built up towards my orbital insertion. So this isn't going to take but a small amount of time. And let's see, here we go. Now all we have to do is just hit T so that we don't have any physics warp problems. And here we go. I'm going to turn T back on. We're going to throttle up to about 1 G. Roll down to the true telemetric Okay, I surrender on that one. We're just going to roll. And we've burned out our fuel, but that's not an issue. We've gotten our orientation, so what we're going to do is we're going to full throttle and separate this stage. This will fall back to the planet, and we're going to be getting to go to the Mun here in a little over a 6-hour period. But
right now what I'm doing is I'm trying to build up into a circular orbit that's roughly 100 kilometers by 100 kilometers. And I'd just like to point out that this stage right here, this whole thing, can get to the Mun and back. Now what we're going to do to make it a little bit more interesting is I have another one of these rockets already up at the Mun. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to do an insertion and then a rendezvous. So let's see, I believe the magic golden number is about 2200 meters per second, so we're coming up on that. And yeah, we're starting to get a pretty good. Let's see if we can't slow that down a little bit. Yeah, that's wonky, but it should work fine. Because if my math is right, we're going to be about 100,000 meters when we see the Mun rise. And for those of you who don't know, that is when you do your insertion burn, right as if you're on about 100 kilometer orbit by 100 kilometer orbit, when the Mun rises is when you do your burn. So yeah, my tolerance is okay. We're within tolerance. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn on RCS, quick roll down to the TTTV, and half throttle. And we should burn through our first fuel tank about now, because that was what we used to get into the proper orbit. Now this last fuel tank is all that we're going to need to get there and get back. I'm not entirely sure about actually getting back after doing all of the burns that are required for rendezvous. So what we're doing is we're building up to about 3,000 meters per second, because that is roughly how fast we need to be going. And yeah, we're just burning out to the Mun. So I've been following the live streams a little bit. I thought the modding, the community modder day, which was today, the 16th, was interesting. I'd love to play with mods, but this is going to sound stupid, but I'm holding out for 0.18. And that's not the stock purist in me talking. What that is a lot of the mods are going to have to be redone for 0.18 anyways, and I feel like we're probably about 2 weeks away from that. Simply because I already know they're at least on experimental 1, and they're not going to release it on Black Friday, I don't think. I mean, they could, but I doubt that would happen, unless they want their servers to crash forever. But yeah, it's just a gut feeling. You can probably expect it, I guess, in 2 weeks. Don't hold me to that, but how many people actually watch my videos anyways? Alright, so a fun trick here is if you know the altitude of the craft that you're trying to intersect, go slightly below that altitude. Now you'll see I'm at 68,000 meters. The craft I'm trying to intersect with is at 50,000. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to 30,000, and we're going to go ahead and do 33, so we have a little wiggle room. The closer you get to the surface of the planet, the less fuel you have to spend to get into orbit. This is just due to speeds, variances, and things like that. So now what we're going to do is turn off both RCS and SAS, speed up the craft, hoopy-doo, and here we go. Alright, now hopefully, that would be terrible if I came in and this intersected with me. Alright, now the reason I'm undercutting this instead of letting it run its course is because it's more fuel efficient for me to be closer to the surface of the Mun rather than being on the outer orbit and coming in. Now that's going to take a little bit more time for these to catch up to each other. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll the ship and get into an orbit. And what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to, after I get into the orbit, be quiet for a little bit and... Alright, here we go. 12 seconds away, 11 seconds away. This is more open throttle than I would want to be, but desperate times. In fact, I would be fine without this orbit being too terribly perfect. I just need it to be kind of circular. For the simple reason that I need to be able to intersect with this with a fair amount of certainty. 33, 36, that's fine with me. Now, you'll see that I'm at a really, really weird angle here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to roll to heading 360 or 000, because what we're going to do is we're going to do a correctional burn. Alright, so here we go. Swing around to the other side of the planet. We are actually off by quite a bit. So this will be interesting, because we're going to have to do several correctional burns for this. Now, the way you do this is when they intersect the orbits, you light up your the engine, and you see I'm facing north because I was north of the orbit on that side. So what's going to happen is, once this lines up, I'm going to cut thrust. There we go. That's close enough for right now. What's my periapsis? 31, 35, and for a parking orbit, that works fine. So what's going to happen is, this craft is going to go slightly faster than this craft and will eventually catch up to it. And because the Mun has a far weaker gravitational pull than Kerbin, it's going to take less time. See, the difference between the speeds right now is this is moving 510, this is moving 524. That's a difference of almost 15 meters per second, so every second they're getting 15 meters closer to each other. This way. So, yeah, I definitely should have put this one on the outside, but I really didn't know where this would be when I got here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut up, put on some music, I haven't quite decided what yet, and I'll bring you back in when we get close. Alright, and what we're looking at here is we've done about 6 orbits by my count, and we're actually to the point where I actually am thinking about getting in line with this craft a little bit more. So what we're going to do is, let's just hope that I didn't blow through all my RCS. I did not. Good, I forgot to turn that off. There was a bug where if you left your RCS on, it would drain completely. So what we're going to do is, I need to guesstimate if I'm going to get there before or after that craft. I'm going to guess I'm going to get there before. So what we're going to do is we're going to bump out to 49,000 meters. And we're going to bump into the high 49s. So that if I'm wrong, it's not too hard to correct. So we're going to turn that off. Roll this over, so that when I get there I can immediately do a burn. And hopefully I'm still lined up pretty well. And it's not perfect, but it's close, so we'll roll with that. And, yep, here we go. Now this guy should be gaining a lot of speed on this guy. Yep, and I was right. I'm not quite at the altitude that I need to be at. So what we're going to do is, when we get here, we're going to speed up, and we're going to approach the original craft at a much slower velocity than we were before. However, we will be approaching the craft because we are still at a slightly lower altitude. Now, I just need to make sure that this doesn't get too overzealous. I'm going to have to... That's my sweet mate. Yeah, come on in, man. Yeah, go for it. That was my sweet mate, everybody. He needed a tissue because apparently he doesn't buy his own. Okay, so let's go ahead and... How much is that? That's 50. Alright, it's going nuts, so that's fine. And how are we doing on our inclination? Still close enough for me. We're not off by that much. Now, hopefully we should, up in front of us, yep, we're about 32.8 kilometers away, so we're approaching them at about every 3 seconds. We're getting about a meter closer to them, maybe, I don't know. But it's going to take a little bit of orbital time. Now, as you see, this craft is bouncing left, and then it's going to come back across to the right, and that is because of the inaccuracies of my adjustment burn. I'm not quite 100% lined up, but it doesn't matter. I'm close enough that when I get within, say, 300 meters or so, I'll be able to correct for that. Now, the other thing I could do is do a correction burn right now. Let me just see how far off I am, actually. Okay, see, that's a big enough amount that I'm gonna want to do something about that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll to heading 180 because we are slightly south of the orbit right now. So that means at our next crossing we will be heading north of that orbit. So when we start to cross, I will burn or use RCS, one of the two. I haven't quite decided yet. Okay, so here we go. We are approaching the intersection. And... excellent, that is the intersection. So what we're going to do is roll up. We're going to look back here. We're going to throttle up ever so slightly, and there we go. Now, 49.87, 50 point... okay, that's still below this orbit. I'm still fine. So now we're going to be a little bit sideways, and this should have less back and forth now. See, it's going to just wobble left and right a little bit, but not a lot. And at a much slower rate. That was useless. The 1,000 times is only for when I'm slightly above 50,000 meters. But yeah, as you see, I am approaching at a much more consistent rate now than I was because it's not bouncing all over the place. Now, these tricks that I'm teaching about the orbital rendezvous when you inject into any body apply not just to the Mun, but to Minmus, re-entry to Kerbin, Duna, and the reason that I'm talking about this now is because they're going to be introducing docking in 0.18. Now, with docking in 0.18, you're going to need to know how to both insert yourself into a planet's sphere of influence and be able to catch up and rendezvous with something when you didn't just launch from the planet. So, yep. I would speed this up a lot and put some music on, but I'm less than 20 kilometers away, and by my math, if I sped that up 4 times to listen to music, 8 times, yeah, we wouldn't be saving that too terribly much time in this video. But we'll see. I might do something with that. Yep. I don't want to put more... oh, that was Minmus right there. Maybe on our next orbit around we'll see it again. That was pretty cool. I'll point it out if I see it again. I'll slow it down and point it out if I see it again. Where was that? That was pretty cool. You could see that pretty well from here. Alright, let me see here. Where are you at, Minmus? Yeah, I didn't see it. Again. But yeah, see, each orbit we're getting something in the neighborhood of like another 6 kilometers closer, so. Or maybe a kilometer closer. I'm not sure. I haven't really been paying that much attention. But let's see, what can we do in the meantime? Well, let me see. Where are we on the surface of the Mun? Okay. We are on the backside, and I don't know of anything of interest on the backside, so. Yeah, but if you take a look on the map view, we're pretty close. Yeah, all of the Easter eggs that I would want to just kind of look for in orbit are right in here. So that's on the dark side right now, and I'm not going to mess. We're 8 kilometers away. Alright, here we go. Dark side of the Mun, because there's that trench there. And we are... Oh, hello. Okay. Well, we're getting closer to the point where I'd be able to see some stuff. Not quite there yet. So I guess I'm going to take this opportunity to just ask people, what else would you like to see me do? Would you like to see some... Ah, no, there was... Ah, ha 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 ha! There it is, I saw Minmus. Would you like to see some more videos about how to do rendezvous, docking... Well, not docking, but I guess when 0.18 comes around, docking. Would you like to see some cool orbital construction videos? Would you like to see... Would you like to see more Let's Play FTL? I really don't update that much. Oh goodness. I mean, I'm not sure where to go really, because I think I've reached the pinnacle of what I can do in 0.17 for right now. So what's going to happen is we're going to get within about whoa, no, didn't want that. We're going to be alright. We're close enough that I'm not going to change anything too terribly much by simply just eyeballing it. So what we're going to do is we're going to use RCS. Oh, not that way. We're going to use RCS to get close to this thing. And as you see, I've still got plenty of fuel, so when I need to clear out from this thing... actually, where am I right now? Oh, excellent. I'm just going to be able to go back to the planet after I do this rendezvous. As you see, I've picked up a lot of relative speed towards the target craft, and going up slightly. Somebody really needs to stop that alarm. Sorry. My building, if a door stays open to the outside too long, an alarm goes off to let people know. But sometimes what happens is people just open the door and don't let it close all the way, so... Hopefully it's nothing bad, but it could be, and I really don't want to be around if it is. So as you see, this is all just about using the RCS once you get within about half a kilometer to approach the other ship. Which is why, if you're at least close on your orbital inclinations, you can do this and cancel out the rest of it. However, if you were like I was back at the start of this whole thing and I was off by about 30 degrees, that would not work. These would just be... It would look like one of those old cartoons of atoms. So let's see, I'm still slightly below this craft, so let's go ahead and pick up a little bit. And the reason you can't just do this to get close to a craft when you're in regular orbit is because I'm actually affecting my orbit quite a bit right now. Right now, I'm just close enough that I can use this as a reference point without affecting my. Oop, 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 oop. Nope, I need to. Oops, wrong button. There we go. I guess, to be helpful, the buttons to use the translational, yeah, I guess that's right. The translating abilities of the RCS thrusters are I, J, K, L, then H and N for forward and backwards. Alright, we are closing into 90 meters. Alright. Now we're going to want to start thinking about braking, because one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to just slam into this thing. Looks like I would be going over it anyways, so let's go ahead. And yep, this is not the most exciting part of the flight for the viewer, but for the pilot, it gets pretty hairy. Aha, yes, see, I'm way above it right now, so I need to come down. And apparently I'm losing a lot of speed, so in relation to the craft, so what we're doing is picking up a little bit of speed, and then using the RCS thrusters to force ourselves onto an orbit. And I'm just going to do a little adjustment here. How close are we? And we are within 30 meters. Alright. Let's go down and back. Okay, and forward a little bit. Forward a little bit. Alright, we are within about 18 meters. Okay, we need to do a little translation this way. Ah, sorry about that. That was weird. I got a little bit too over-enthusiastic about my rendezvous that I forgot to check how long I had left on my video software, so hurrah. Anyways, where were we? Okay, we are approaching very slowly. Let's go ahead and lose some momentum that way. Make sure that we're not falling at a different rate. And there we go. We are within, drifting a little bit. We are within, I would almost say 3 feet of this craft. Now let me take a look at where we are on the map. Excellent. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and leave this, but that is how you rendezvous. Now the best way to make sure you don't run into a ship is go the direction that you're going to need to go to get away from it. For example, if you're deorbiting, be sure that you are slightly below it. If you're going to increase your orbit, make sure you are slightly past it. So as you see, it's slowly drifting away. Now what we're going to do is we're going to rotate the ship, because if my math is right, and we're going to see if we can get home with this. If I burn right now, I should, number one, start putting this behind me. Yep, there it goes. Number two, I should be able to just compress what would be 2 burns into 1 right here. And we shall find out. The goal of this is to get this down to an entry periapsis. There we go. Now I just use my RCS to back it out to 30,000. Take a look. Yep, we're gaining some pretty serious speed away from this thing. And here we go. On the great adventure to get back to Kerbin. Oh, wow, look at that thing go. Alright, and we are at 232,000. We're going to speed up until we get to about 100,000. There we go. We're going to rotate this entire craft around. And as you see, I have fuel to spare, so that's good. Which means my two-stager is able to perform rendezvous. And jettison. Excellent. Let's roll up to the right heading. The right bearing, I guess. I'm not sure what it is. And prepare for re-entry. So this should just kind of go away. Now, one thing I like about this is entering at night. Once you hit the atmosphere, you can see the planet a bit better. See, there it goes. There's the light level shifting. And landmass. It's an interesting effect. I like it, but it makes it harder for flying at night because back when I had a working SSTO, I was able to use the India subcontinent shaped thing as my reference deorbit point. From there I knew the exact periapsis to land on the runway. Now that wasn't through math, that was through simple trial and error, so here we go. While we're deorbiting, I'd like to share a couple of facts with you viewers who have stuck it out this far. Number one, did you know that the original Apollo plan was not to land in the water, but to land on the landmass because they thought that they could control the descent a little bit better, and the recovery teams would have less of a trouble getting to them. This was scrapped when they discovered that landing on land presented more problems than landing in water. Let's see, what else? Alright, here's something interesting from my life. There's a restaurant that I like to go to in town. They serve hot dogs, but one of the other things that they do is they have classic, well, not necessarily classic movies on, but they have movies on. And today was Tom Hanks Day, so I had to go into the chemistry lab kind of early this morning because my girlfriend needed somebody as a lab buddy because she wasn't really allowed to use the heat plate without somebody else there because our college has this thing that you always need a lab buddy if you're going to be working with heat. Well, nobody else was there, so she called me, and I know lab safety, so I went in. And afterwards, we went out to this place, Gregor Dog. It's very good. And they were playing Apollo 13. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I love this movie because they actually rented one of those zero-gravity planes and put the mocked-up LEM and command module in one of these zero... Whoop. None of that. There we go. They actually put a mock-up command module and a mock-up LEM inside one of these zero-gravity planes so that they could get the zero-gravity shots that they needed. And in my mind, that's actually what made that movie phenomenal, because they didn't use the harnesses and wires to simulate zero gravity. They actually put the actors in zero gravity, so, you know. And everybody did a really good job in that movie, specifically Kevin Bacon, Tom Hanks, Bill Paxton, Ed Harrison, I believe his name is, the guy who was playing Gene Kranz. No, they did a really phenomenal job in that movie. So, yep, we've only got about 2,000 more meters till we get to the planet. The mission actually didn't take that much longer than rendezvous around Kerbin. Sometimes my rendezvous go kind of foul, and they take about this amount of time to do the rendezvous and return. But no, it's kind of interesting that I had a pretty good judgment and was able to get the rendezvous in such a short order, because let's see, you take out about 10 hours or so. That's still one day 3 hours, one day 4 hours for the rendezvous, and that's not bad. And I'm assuming, that's how long it took me to get to the Mun and back is about 8 to 10 hours, so we'll go 10 hours. Takes slightly longer to get there than back. But, yep. And I guess, again, this rocket is definitely an illustration of it is easier to get to the Mun, orbit it, and come back than it is to take up all the crap to land on it and come back. Because my two-stager Mooner orbit rocket, which is this, is much, much smaller than my single-man lander that goes out to the Mun and comes back. But we're about to touch down, so I want to say thanks for watching. This has been That One Guy from sunny Holland. Have a good night.